Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Annemarie. Today is Friday, April 12th. It is Drop Everything and Read Day, and as such, I decided today would be the perfect day to launch my new channel dedicated to my favorite reads. The format I'm going to use is 10 Things I Love About You, where in each video I discuss 10 things I love about a particular book. When discussing it, I will never reveal any plot twists, nor will I spoil any surprise endings, so don't worry about that. The whole point of this is to give you an inside peek into the book. If you've already read it, or if my video inspires you to do so and you feel compelled to add to my list, feel free to do so in the comments and I will take a look. So here we go. Today I'm going to discuss 10 Things I Love About You, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Just saying the title brings a smile to my face because I love this book, this series, really. Each of the 4 books in this series is its own standalone murder mystery, and I love each of them for a different reason, but we'll get to that in a bit. First things first. The series is set in a British luxury retirement village called Cooper's Chase, and the stories revolve around 4 retirees known as the Thursday Murder Club. These 4 amateur detectives include Elizabeth, a former spy, Joyce, a former nurse, Ibrahim, who has a background in psychiatry, and Ron, who is a retired trade union leader. The 4 of them meet every Thursday in the Jigsaw Room at Cooper's Chase to discuss unsolved crimes. After reading these books, I desperately wish the 4 of them were real people that I could meet in person. That's how much I adore these fictional characters. The way they work together and play off each other is witty and charming, and it brings the series to life. Today we are going to discuss Book 1 of the series, appropriately titled The Thursday Murder Club. So here we go. The first thing I love about The Thursday Murder Club is the opening. It's not a prologue, but there are 8 sentences that draw you into the story before Chapter 1 begins. It's sort of like a teaser. Richard Osman opens all the books in the series this way. Some are a little longer than others, but Book 1 has 8 brilliantly written lines, and here they are, taken directly from the text. Killing someone is easy. Hiding the body, now that's usually the hard part. That's how you get caught. I was lucky enough to stumble upon the right place, though. The perfect place, really. I come back from time to time just to make sure everything is still safe and sound. It always is, and I suppose it always will be. Sometimes I'll have a cigarette, which I know I shouldn't, but it's my only vice. We have no idea who's talking yet, because this is meant to be a teaser to draw you into the story. But what I love about these 8 lines is that they set the tone for the rest of the book. Right away, before you even start Chapter 1, you know the writing style has a playfulness to it. This is not going to be a fact-driven procedural. It's a bit more casual, with some humor and some sarcasm. The second thing I love about the Thursday Murder Club are the opening lines of Chapter 1. The book alternates between chapters written in 3rd person and chapters titled Joyce, which are written in 1st person from Joyce's point of view. In addition to being labeled with her name, Joyce's chapters have a different font from the rest of them. Her chapters are essentially her diary entries. Chapter 1 is one of them. So right off the bat, we are looking at the story from Joyce's perspective, and this is how it begins. Well, let's start with Elizabeth, shall we? And see where that gets us. I love that chapter opening because I think it's very conversational. The use of the words we and us in the first 2 lines immediately pulls us as readers into the story and invites us to be a part of it, which I think is genius. And of course, now we all want to know, who is Elizabeth? Elizabeth is number 3 on my list of things I love about the Thursday Murder Club. In Chapter 28, one of the other characters describes her as being whatever Marlon Brando was in The Godfather. So that should give you some idea of her personality. In Chapter 29, she's described as a terrifying woman who doesn't take no for an answer. Elizabeth is a former spy with connections all over the world. She knows how to get what she wants when she wants it. So, for example, is the Thursday Murder Club really supposed to have access to cold case murder files? No, but nobody stops Elizabeth. One of my favorite lines from the book is found in Chapter 4, and I like it because it embodies the spirit of the series. After a certain age, you can pretty much do whatever takes your fancy. No one tells you off, except for your doctors and your children. The 4 members of the Thursday Murder Club do pretty much whatever they want without fear of any consequences, because they are old and they are bold. And Elizabeth is their fearless leader. Number 4 on my list is Ibrahim. Described as smelling wonderful and having great skin, 80-year-old Ibrahim wears 3-piece suits with polished cufflinks. He also keeps a handkerchief artfully folded inside his breast pocket. His secret for looking good is Pilates and swimming every day because that keeps the skin tight. He is poised and polite and every bit a classy, stylish gentleman. In chapter 66, we learn that Ibrahim loves the liveliness of Cooper's Chase, including the ridiculous committees, ridiculous politics, arguments, and gossip. It's a community, and in Ibrahim's opinion, that was how human beings were designed to live. Richard Osman develops his character later on in the series, but in every book, he's thoughtful and charismatic, and that's what makes him special. And then there's Ron, who's number 5 on my list. As a contrast to the gentlemanly three-piece suit-wearing scholarly Ibrahim, Ron Ritchie is a fiery, tattooed, flip-flop-wearing retired trade union leader. He is a professional protester who is described as a veteran of picket lines and police cells, of blacklegs, blacklists, bust-ups, slowdowns and sit-ins, of wildcat strikes and walkouts. In addition to being the father of a famous boxer, Ron is feisty, outspoken, and argumentative. He has a West Ham tattoo on his neck, and if he doesn't like you, he'll advise you to park outside Larkin Court and then have your wheel clamped, or booted, as we say in the USA. Why is he a member of the Thursday Murder Club? Because he invited himself. When Elizabeth first formed the club, she booked a 2-hour slot in the Jigsaw room under the guise of a Japanese opera discussion group. Ron wasn't buying it. So one Thursday he walked into the Jigsaw room to see what was really going on. Because Elizabeth admires suspicion above all else, she invited him to join them. She soon realized his key strength is that he never believes anything anyone tells him. His skepticism about everything and everyone rubbed off on Elizabeth, who now claims that reading police files under the certain knowledge that the police are lying to you is surprisingly effective. So we've got Elizabeth, who is the leader of the gang, Ibrahim, who is the stylish psychiatrist, and Ron, who is the rabble-rouser. That leaves Joyce, number 6 on my list. She is a retired nurse, and she is a joyfully optimistic, flirtatious chatterbox who loves to bake. In chapter 20, she claims her special skill is that she is often overlooked and underestimated, and she repeatedly uses people's misconception of her to her advantage. Joyce is the type of character who flies beneath the radar. When there's a conflict and everyone else at Cooper's Chase is grandstanding, puffing out their chests, and threatening legal action, Joyce calmly sits back and waits for them to settle down before offering simple, sensible solutions to the problem. She's organized and she gets things done. If there's a row at catering committee, or if there's a problem with the lake pumps, or if one resident's dog impregnates another and everyone is up in arms, who is there to fix it? Quiet, level-headed Joyce. What's great about these 4 characters is that even though they are completely different from one another, they get each other. They play off of each other without missing a beat. Quiet, level-headed Joyce picks up where the bold and terrifying Elizabeth leaves off. Likewise, Ron and Ibrahim, who have completely different personalities, also work well together. So now that we've covered the 4 main characters, let's talk about the setting. Number 7 on my list is Cooper's Chase Retirement Village. Home to roughly 300 residents who are all above the age of 65, Cooper's Chase sits on 12 acres of woodland and beautiful open hillside. And they have llamas. In addition to an abundance of activities and amenities, there's also a swimming pool complex complete with an arthritis therapy pool, which is just a fancy way of saying jacuzzi. There's also a visitor's car park, the permits for which are rationed to such an extent that the parking committee is the single most powerful cabal within Cooper's Chase. In chapter 5, one of the characters mentions how he has been in all sorts of scrapes with all sorts of authorities over the years, and the only 2 that have ever truly rattled him are the Russian Import Tax Investigation Authority and the Cooper's Chase Parking Committee. In addition to the quirky characters living within Cooper's Chase, there are also some who live outside the retirement village, such as number 8 on my list, P.C. Donna de Freitas. P.C. de Freitas is a 26-year-old constable from South London who transferred from the Met. In chapter 2, she goes to Cooper's Chase to give a talk on practical tips for home security. You know, install window locks, check ID cards before allowing strangers into your home, never give out personal information to cold callers, those types of things. But her talk doesn't go quite as planned because sitting among the crowd of pensioners are Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron, who basically tell her they don't want to hear about those things. They've heard them all before, and they're tired of hearing them. So after a brief free-for-all with random comments such as, "They don't even check the meter now, dear," It's all on the web. I've got cataracts. You could show me a library card, and I'd let you in. I'd welcome a burglar. It would be nice to have a visitor. Constable de Freitas scraps her security speech and lets them choose what to talk about. Following their chat, she's invited to join them for lunch, where they have a conversation about Zumba, Pilates, and heroin smuggling. This is a strategic move for the Thursday Murder Club because Constable de Freitas has access to confidential information that they may need and will need later on in the book. And in Chapter 18, in order for them to access this information, they make her an offer she can't refuse. Working with Constable de Freitas is Detective Chief Inspector Chris Hudson, who is number 9 on my list. I love his character because DCI Chris Hudson is a dedicated team player who maintains his authority without needing constant recognition for his efforts. In Chapter 25, Constable de Freitas mentions how he treats her with a kindness she senses is genuine and with a respect that could only come from being good at his job. In Book 1, 51-year-old DCI Chris Hudson is a junk food loving, Diet Coke drinking, Narcos watching middle-aged man who has worked for the police for nearly 30 years. Some of those habits change, however, as the series progresses. In Chapter 28, he mentions that the last time he went to Cooper's Chase, someone clamped his car. He was charged £150 to release it by a pensioner with a high-vis jacket and an adjustable spanner. A spanner is a British term for a wrench. We are first introduced to his character when a property developer is found dead. At one point in the story, he mentions how he refuses to be pushed around by 4 pensioners. But little does he know, the 4 pensioners of the Thursday Murder Club are going to do just that, especially now that they have their first live case. Not just yellowing pages of smudged type from another age, but a real case, a real corpse, and somewhere out there, a real killer. Can the unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? And that brings me to the last item on my list, which is actually the thing I love most about the Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And it's something that isn't found in the book, because it's something far more personal. The reason I love this series so much is because Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron bring back fond memories of my grandparents. I treasured every moment I spent with my grandparents, especially my grandmothers, and I miss them terribly. While none of them were ever part of an amateur crime-busting cabal, at least not that I'm aware, reading the adventures of the Thursday Murder Club with all their sassiness and quirkiness brings my grandparents back to me. And that's something that no other book series has ever done. So thank you, Richard Osman, for doing that for me, because my memories of my grandparents are priceless. Earlier I mentioned that I love this series. In my opinion, Book 2 has the best plot. The Man Who Died Twice has missing diamonds, cryptic notes, Joyce's Instagram account, friendship bracelets. It is filled with twists and turns that kept me on the edge of my seat, so much so that I read it all in one day. Book 3, The Bullet That Missed, is hilarious. Chapter 25 is the funniest, in my opinion. Chapter 57 is great, too. There's a mistake in Chapter 70, but nobody's perfect. Some of the highlights include Joyce's dog Alan, a Viking, Ron at the spa, more cryptic messages, and books worth billions of dollars. Book 4 is sad. The Last Devil to Die made me cry more than once. Even the introduction is sad. The book is well written and has a solid plot, but just as a heads up, it will probably make you cry too, especially if you've read the other 3 books and love these characters as much as I do. If you've read the Thursday Murder Club and would like to add to my list of things to love, please do so in the comments. If you haven't already done so today, please take some time to drop everything and read. Until next time, take care, be well, and happy reading.